The Milwaukee Brewers still have some work to do. Not quite there. They'll get it done this week. We'll talk about that. Talk a little bit about the middle relief. It's taken a little bit of a hit, and the way the pitching was this weekend. All that and more coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good to see that nobody is panicking. Nobody's worried. Nobody is overreacting. It's all good. All good. And it's been this way for the last week or so with the Milwaukee Brewers. Yeah, they stumbled in the final two games against Miami. But as we always say, these games aren't easy to win. Brewers still have one of the best records in baseball in September. Playing good baseball, dropped 2 of 3, but you got to like, there's a lot to like right about now with the Milwaukee Brewers, especially after Friday night's game. Friday night's game was an absolute gem of a game. But we'll talk all that coming up here. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here on a Monday morning, or in some cases, Sunday night. If you're watching this YouTube video, I dropped this episode on Sunday night. The episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks. You could win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app. Use the promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get a $100 match at your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right. And my name is Chuck Freeman, first-year host of Locked On Brewers, longtime sportscaster here in the great state of Wisconsin. Been covering the Brewers for a long time, AP radio, numerous outlets. And of course, I've been, not only do I cover them, let's face it, we're all fans. If you grew up in Wisconsin, chances are you're a Brewers fan, a Packers fan, a Bucks fan. Some of these guys, some of these sportscasters, and I'm not going to call them out, but I think the guys who are from here will say, yeah, we're in the media, we cover the team, but we also want our team to win. Those are the guys. Yeah. Who's not excited about the fact that the Brewers could clinch Tuesday night at AmFam Field against the Cardinals, no less? Going into that locker room, champagne everywhere. I mean, I've seen some things ruined over the years because of champagne showers. I remember when I was a kid, still in high school, I was covering for a local radio station in Milwaukee, and the Baltimore Orioles had clinched in 1983. And that was the biggest disaster of the old County Stadium visitors locker room. There were pans of pasta and lasagna dumped everywhere. It was unbelievable. I mean, they weren't just spraying champagne. They were tossing food and everything. It was a disaster. Now, over the years, these champagne showers, we've gotten a little smart on those. They got the goggles going on. They tape up all the lockers so nobody's closed, nothing gets dirty. Cameramen are more conscious about that, bringing in, plastic to cover their expensive cameras, microphones, and all that. That doesn't prevent it all. But Tuesday night, we've learned a little bit because I think in 2011, when that happened, it was chaos. I think it was a Friday night. It was chaos in the locker room. And over the years, we've had a few clinchings here and, division titles, game 163 in Chicago, the series against the DBacks in 2011. We've had a few of these here, locker room champagne showers. They're not frequent. They're more prevalent in the past couple of years in Milwaukee, but they're fun. But I'll tell you, as a reporter covering it, it's you're in there wearing your worst clothes, okay? Because I've had pants damaged and all that over the years. 2008, when the Brewers clinched CeCe's team, when they clinched after the Mets loss, I remember getting a whole white pair of pants, off-white pair, just completely trash. So Tuesday night, we go in the locker room. We'll be all ready. But what I was saying here is, yeah, I'm a I'm not only a media member, but I am a fan of our teams as well. I grew up watching them. I can't take that out of the equation. There's no way I can. Anybody who says they can and is from Wisconsin, kidding themselves. Kidding themselves. That's what they're doing. Kidding themselves. I don't know. It's late night on a Sunday night. Got to watch my wording here. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Anyway, you've downloaded the episode on Google, Spotify, Apple. I should have meant they're killing me facetiously. Google, Spotify, Apple, all the downloads. Wherever you get your podcasts, you get them right here because we're the number one podcast on the internet and we're on all the major downloads. Please continue to subscribe to YouTube. We're growing YouTube audience. I was pushing for over 2,000. We're already pushing towards 2,100 of our YouTube audience. And that's because of the great fans, the great Brewer fans, you guys out there. And thanks for following me on Twitter as well. Chuck Freeman, Freimund, Freimund. Well, Craig Counsell said this in the locker room after the game. No need to be worried or mad or disappointed. Disappointed was the word he used. No need to be disappointed. Okay. Yeah, they dropped 2 or 3, but this is how I felt against Wainwright last week. And, even dropping these 2 games. Payamps buries the ball into the ground on Saturday afternoon. They lose 5-4. Even though Carlos Santana hits the 3-run home run to tie it up in the 6th. They battled, they lost. And then Freddie did not have his good stuff on Sunday. First time in a while for Freddie. He was due. And when I say he was due, even the great ones, and I'm not calling Freddie great at this point, but all the great ones, they have bad days. I mean, Freddie's been pitching so well. He's one of the major reasons why the Brewers have a comfortable lead in the division right now and can afford a game like that. And Brandon Woodruff, we're going to talk a little bit about him in a little bit as well, because Woodruff did not pitch well for the first time, I want to say, since coming off the injured list. There might have been one other one in there, but he's been so good. But his velocity was down. He had some issues out there, not physical. We'll get to that coming up here in a little bit. But as for this game, this weekend, Yelich, 1,500 career hits. He got to that point. Good for Yelly, and great to see him back in the lineup. Battling that back. Great for him to be back in that lineup. And they dropped 2 or 3, and they didn't have good pitching the last couple of days. I'll say this though, nobody wants to back in, but even if they came off the field, they went in the locker room and checked out the Cubs game. And if the Cubs would have lost, the Brewers would have clinched. I think there was a little disappointment, but they put themselves in a great position. Like Craig says, there's no need to be disappointed. Tuesday, celebrating in front of the home crowd on Tuesday, and hopefully there'll be a big gate. That'll be great. I'm telling you, secretly, I don't think Antanasio is going to say this publicly, but he probably wasn't feeling all that bad that they didn't clinch this weekend, because he's going to get a big gate Tuesday. There's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be fun doing that in front of your home crowd. Okay, if they win this game, they clinched. These last 6 games mean nothing. Nothing. Rest and relaxation. All right. And getting some of the minor league call-ups an opportunity. But they're going to have at least one more meaningful game. If the Cubs lose, the Cubs play Atlanta. If the Cubs lose, the Brewers are in. They'll back in. But I don't want to say back in, because the Brewers put themselves in position. So even if the Brewers lose and the Cubs lose, the Brewers are in. That's a term, backing in. But that's not the case here, because the Brewers have such a comfortable lead. They're not backing in. They earned getting to the postseason, clinching early, if that happens on Tuesday night. But yeah, I would have guessed Antanasio's probably like, well, you know what? Hey, at least we're going to have a big gate. We'll do it in front of our fans, and that'll be cool. And I'm sure some of the players too, they want to get it done early, but I'm sure some of the players out there, wouldn't mind doing it in front of the great fans at AmFam Field. I hope we have a big crowd out there on Tuesday night. I'll be out there covering it and probably doing the podcast probably from somewhere in the press box after the game on Tuesday night. This show is brought to you in part by Sleeper. Sleeper it's a great way to do fantasy baseball, daily fantasy baseball. In Dallas, daily fantasy sports. CD Lamb under on the yardage today for your boy Freeman. But the MLB playoffs are around the corner, which means the clock is ticking on your chance on 100 times your cash on daily fantasy baseball. Baseball's never been more exciting. The postseason coming up next Tuesday already. And, you can pick more or less on stats from stars with home runs, hits, strikeouts, triples, you name it, pitching end, offense end. And, you have a chance to really multiply your payouts by coupling up some of your winners, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 8. Use the promo code LOCKEDON, and you're going to get a $100 match in your first deposit. Take advantage of that free money they're giving away. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper terms of use right in my logo on Sleeper, which is sleeper.com/promo/locked on. That'll give you all the details on everything you need to know about Sleeper. But yeah, if you want some good payout, the payouts are timely and they're fast as well. From what I hear, very fast, timely, and there's no messing around. They get it out to you. And again, use that promo code Locked On for a $100 match in your first deposit. Download. Go to that Sleeper website right now. Like I said, sleeper.com/promo/locked on, and you'll be qualified for that $100 match, which is really cool. The Brewers will have the day off coming up on Monday, a rare Monday. When's the last time we had a game? I think the last time we had an off day was probably, I think it was the Thursday after. It was the Thursday right after the Pittsburgh series. Right after the Pittsburgh series. They were Philadelphia at home. They played Pittsburgh on the road right after Labor Day, and then at Thursday they had off. So it's the first time they had off in a while. So good deal for them. Get home, get with the family. They're probably home. They're home. They're definitely home already. And, just kind of hang out and chill and take this series to the Cardinals. Plus, it's never is it ever bad clinching against the Cardinals or the Cubs? It's the Cardinals have had our number in a number of things, but we've clinched against them. This would be a second time, assuming it's going to get done. And, the Cardinals aren't going to be an easy out, although they kind of laid down at times, I thought, last week against the Brewers. But we'll talk more about this series coming up. As for this game, we're going to talk more about the game on Sunday. Give you a quick little synopsis of it, and then talk about what's going on with Brandon Woodruff and the bullpen as well. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. We're coming right back after this. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host. The Brewers have the day off on Monday and Tuesday. That first pitch, the Brewers and St. Louis Cardinals. I just want to confirm it is a 7:05. I probably should have did this before I got on the air today. But the Brewers will be on Sirius XM for the game coming up. And that game coming up on Tuesday, as I'm scrolling down here, yes, 6:40 with that first pitch. Early start, 6:40. So, get off of work or whatever. Stop right over to AmFam Field and enjoy a night of celebration. Hopefully, one of the two scenarios will happen. The Cubs lose or the Brewers win. Preferably, the Brewers win. All right. Peralta was not 100%. He wasn't feeling well last couple of days. Not 100%. Wouldn't blame it on that at all. But he pitched 3 innings, 70 pitches. They got him out of there. And like I said, it was his first bad outing in 2 months. Let's cut him some slack, get him ready for the postseason. Tyrone Taylor was back in the lineup. He's got a little bit of a hammy issue they're watching. A little bit of hamstring issue with Tyrone Taylor. As for Woodruff. Now, Woodruff was in the game on Saturday, and his velo, his fastball, was topping out 90-91, which prompted a visit. And he said he wasn't feeling any pain, but this is what happened in April. April, he was topping out in the low 90s, but he had a little bit of, he had that shoulder thing going on there. But he said, no, it's nothing like that. He said, I don't know what it is. So I don't know if I should be worried about that or not. But obviously we can't have Woody be throwing 90, 91 miles an hour, or he's going to get lit up, or anybody will. So you can't be throwing fastballs inner part of the plate at 90, 91 to Major League Baseball hitters, and they're just not going to get away with it. So hopefully they'll figure that one out I was a little worried, though, when they said, well, I'm glad they ruled out an injury. At least he said there was nothing pain. He goes, I don't know. He said they got the managerial visit. They came out and seen me. And I told him, I don't know why I'm throwing 90 or 91. I don't know. Who knows? Baseball, sports in general, just a funny game. Baseball, funny game. So hopefully when he makes his next start, he'll make one more, probably an abbreviated start before the playoffs begin next week. So couple of other things. Payamps, his velo has been dropping as well. He threw that one in the dirt on Saturday afternoon, allowed the eventual game-winning run to score in the bottom half of the eighth inning. But his velo has been dipping, and according to Adam McKelvey, said his arm angle has been dipping a little bit. So we'll see. Payamps is crucial, obviously. Setup man. I'm hoping that there's been so much pressure on the pitching staff this year. So much. You just hope guys like Woodruff and Peralta, Payamps here, they won't run out of gas. I mentioned CC Sabathia the other day, and like 2008, the postseason just simply ran out of gas from pulling and dragging that team into the postseason. You hope Woodruff, and you hope Payamps, and you hope Freddie, and Burns. Burns was fine on Friday. You just hope that these guys are strong to the finish, and that nature just doesn't take over, and these guys, their arms are tiring. You hope not. You just hope that is not the case. But the Brewers will continue to monitor, and we'll see how Woody is in his next start, because we need him, that velo, obviously up a couple more ticks than 90-91. So that's the status. Peguera is going to come off the injured list. When he does, they expect him to be ready for the postseason. That's a little bothersome as well. Hauser is going to pitch in his next start. I believe he's going on Tuesday. Hauser is all set for Tuesday. No, it's Miley. Miley on Tuesday. Wednesday, it's Burns. And then Thursday, Brandon Woodruff is going to make his next start in the afternoon game. That's been changed to a 3:10 start on Thursday. 3:10 because of the Packers game. 3:10 on Thursday for the Brewers and Cardinals. Let's hope that nothing is on the line for that game right there. So anyway, that's the way we look for the pitching. We'll come back and wrap this thing up and look ahead to what's coming up. And I threw a little poll out there on Twitter. Who don't you want to face in the wild card? Because the Brewers will face the 3 seed. 1, 2, 3. They'll face the 3 seed because they have the 3rd worst record in the National League as far as division champions are concerned. And I see some word floating around the internet on Twitter, people calling it that the Brewers have clinched the NL. No, they have not clinched the NL Central. They've clinched a postseason spot. In fact, you can buy merchandise at the ballpark already. Take October, I think is the slogan. You could buy merchandise, but they have not clinched the division title. That's going to hopefully happen Tuesday. All right, we're coming right back. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And DoorDash, missing the syrup for your pancakes or just ran out of your favorite coffee creamer? With DoorDash grocery delivery, you can get what you want, when you need it. They are right and convenient for you, getting you what you want right to your door. DoorDash grocery delivery. You can stock up for the week or last minute cravings conveniently. Looking for some toast, some avocados, some hot sauce, the bottle empty. Isn't that awful? Like when the open pit or the A1 runs out, well, DoorDash is going to help you out. Try grocery delivery from DoorDash. They'll get you everything they want delivered when you need it, right to your door. Need fresh groceries for the week? Don't have time to go to the store? Some of you guys are working 15 hours a day. Try grocery delivery from DoorDash. You'll get everything you want delivered right to your door. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use the code LOCKEDONMLB at checkout. Very key. Use this. LOCKEDONMLB at checkout. Limited time offer. Terms apply. 50% off, up to $20. No minimal subtotal and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. So don't forget, use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB up to 50% off your first order with DoorDash. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Brewers and Cardinals in a first of a 3-game set coming up on Tuesday night, 6:40 Tuesday, 6:40 Wednesday, and then 3:10 coming up on Thursday, all on SiriusXM, the SXM app. Search Brewers. Those games with the Cubs next weekend could be important for the Cubs. The Brewers could play spoiler to the Cubs with the Brewers having nothing on the line, but the Cubs could have a lot on the line, getting in as a wild card. We'll talk about that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host. Follow us along Google, Spotify, Apple, all the major downloads. We are there for you Monday through Friday here on Locked On Brewers, and here on the postseason, we are going to be here every day on Locked On Brewers. Postseason games. Hopefully they're going to make it to the weekend out in Los Angeles, because they play next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday if necessary. And then they go out to the West Coast. They'll play the Dodgers Saturday. They'll play the Dodgers Saturday and Monday, I'm thinking off the top of my head. For sure Saturday. I think it's Saturday, Monday of next week. So, which would be 2 weeks from today. So let's get through this first. Cardinals, Cubs, wild card, then divisional series against the Dodgers. Then the Braves. No, we won't look that far. Let's just clinch this. Let's just clinch this division first. All right. The Brewers will start this series with the Cardinals, who come in and really have nothing to play for, and we'll see. We'll see if they have any fight left in them at all. Who they're playing, what young guys they're playing. But I'm telling you, last couple of games against the Brewers, I don't think the Cardinals showed any fight whatsoever. They traded away some stars that they would love to have back right now. But still, that team is a talented team, I think. And that's a talented team that should be better than they are. They're not a last place team. I'm just surprised that they never turned it around. I thought they would, but they dug themselves a hole and they never got out of it. All right. Who do you want to face in the postseason? Won't be the Cardinals, but who do you want to face, or who don't you want to face? Jake says, as much as I want to beat the Cubs, I do not want to face them. They do well, and we don't at times. Well, the Brewers, I think, have got the Cubs number. Cubs got that World Series in 2016. I get it. Okay. But still, Brewers had 162 on them. It would be great to, first of all, anybody's going to be a tough out. Cincinnati is as bad as they've looked at times here in the last couple of weeks. Miami, I don't think we'd want to face Miami. Miami's a gritty, crafty team. I would rather face the Cubs than Miami. The Dodgers. We're doomed, says the Dodgers. Luckily for you, we're doomed. We won't face the Dodgers in the first round of the playoffs. We'll not face them in the wild card. Scott says, not the Diamondbacks. No, the Diamondbacks don't really fear me at all. Brewers have fared well against them. I'm not really worried about the Diamondbacks. Only team, if they had to face the Phillies, which they're not going to, they're likely not going to have to. But it's probably going to come down to a handful of teams. Go Pack Go says, you don't hope for playoff matchups. That's how you lose to the New York Giants. And he's talking about 2007. I get it, Go Pack Go. And you know what? 2011, the Phillies were the juggernaut, and the Cardinals beat them on the same night the Brewers beat Arizona to clinch the divisional series. And we were in the press box thinking, all right, we're facing the Cardinals, who barely got in the playoffs. But the Cardinals were a hot team. And of course, the Cardinals beat the Brewers in a 6-6 in the NLCS. So we hope for the Cardinals in 2011 and got burned. But I get you what you're saying, Go Pack Go. You don't hope for anybody. Brewers Magic says, Scrubs. Badger Farm says, I don't want to have to deal with fans. The team itself is meh. And he's talking about the Cubs. Doesn't want to deal with the Cubs. Who don't you want to deal with? Patty Lynn says, Cubs, 100% not the Cubs. CJ Royster says, doesn't want to deal with Arizona. Logan says, I think We're going to beat whatever team that are matched up against. Bring them on. That's a good attitude to have, Logan. Badger says, not the Cubs. Tommy's Corner Card Store says the Cubs. Patrick says the Marlins. Rebecca says, I know we can beat any of them, but keeping the Cubs out of AmFam gives us full home field advantage. Arizona also has always seems to be play us tough, hoping for the Marlins or Reds. Yeah, the one thing about having the Cubs here is, their fans would show up, and we wouldn't want that. But there's just something fun about beating the Cubs in big moments. Beating any Chicago team in the big moment is always fun. It's always fun. All right, Brewers and Cardinals, 6:40 coming up. Sirius XM, the SXM app on Tuesday. No game Monday. Tuesday is our next Brewer game, and the Cubs have the day off, and they're taking on Atlanta coming up on Tuesday. Wade Miley scheduled the pitch on Tuesday for the Brewers in the first game of that series. It's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Get us on Google, Spotify, Apple, all the major downloads. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. We're going to be here throughout the postseason, the offseason as well. Whenever the season ends, hopefully not until November, but whenever it does, we'll be talking postseason, off-season baseball with you all winter long, right through spring training, and right through 2024 once again. So, but please subscribe to our downloads on Locked On Brewers. Go to YouTube, hit Locked On Brewers, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. It's going to alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good night, everybody.